Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me today for our live broadcast on 7 of the most scenic rail routes in Switzerland here with Railbookers. Now, I like to start out, of course, by introducing myself. My name is Colleen McCarthy, and I've had the very good fortune to be working with Railbookers for almost the last 8 years now. It'll be 8 years in just a couple months. Time really flies. And I've had the very great opportunity to have actually traveled out to Switzerland just last summer and have traveled on many of the beautiful scenic rail routes that we are going to look at today and visited many of the fantastic destinations that we'll look at as well. So if you have any questions whatsoever, any questions about the trains, the routes, the different vacations, or anything at all, please do feel free to type those questions away at any time throughout today's presentation in your questions box. You should see the questions box on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, I will address everybody's questions at the end of the program today. And don't worry, because I know we do usually get quite a few questions. If I do not have time to answer your question live on today's broadcast, I will make sure that somebody from the team does send the answer out to you. So we'll make sure to email you with those answers that you need. So we will get to each and every person's question, even if we don't have time to address them all live on the broadcast. Now, don't forget as well, we do have some great handouts available for you today. There should be 3 handouts today, one about our great limited time offers, a fantastic rail route map, and a specific one of Switzerland itself. So do feel free to download those at any point throughout the presentation today as well. Now, of course, our main topic today is the 7 most scenic rail routes in Switzerland. So we will look at all 7 of those rail routes. We'll talk about what life is like on board the trains, the different classes of service, what you get if you upgrade to first class, for example. We'll talk about some of the great vacations that feature these different train routes so you can see how with Railbookers you can connect and do multiple scenic trains in one vacation. We'll talk about our maximum flexibility offer, as well as how European rail operators are providing a safe environment at this time. And we'll talk a little bit about why to travel by train, particularly in Switzerland. So without any further ado, who are we here with Railbookers? We are part of the Yankee Leisure Group family of brands. You may have heard of our sister brand, that's Amtrak Vacations. Amtrak Vacations, of course, is the official tour operator here in the USA and up into Canada for Amtrak. We also operate Yankee Holidays, which is our original brand. They've been in operation since 1972 with Yankee Holidays. And of course, Railbookers, our claim to fame here is that wherever the train goes, so do we. So not only do we have trips in Switzerland and the rest of Europe, we can also accommodate you in North America, Asia, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, pretty much wherever you want to go. If there's a train there, we can get you there. And just a few reasons that folks do love to book with us here at Railbookers. For one thing, we can book up to 24 months in advance. So we can book up to 2 years in advance. We are booking all the way through the summer now of 2022. So if you do have a special occasion coming up, a birthday, an anniversary, anything like that, do let us know. It's never too early to start planning your trip. We also offer a tremendous amount of freedom and flexibility. As you'll see throughout today's presentation, all of our itineraries are customizable. You can choose your own accommodations. We can upgrade you on the train. You can customize your sightseeing. It's really very flexible. It's up to you and what you're most interested in. If you want to take the most scenic route, we can set you up. If you want to take the fastest route and get to your destination faster, we can set that up for you as well. Of course, rail is the scenic way to travel. You will see sights by these trains that you would not be able to see any other way. And we have a great feature where if you are traveling in the future, you can pay a small deposit now. And then the bulk of your trip, your final payment, won't be due until about 3 months before you travel. So if you are booking for next year or even into 2022, you don't have to worry about that final payment until much closer into your trip. And I think one of the major reasons that folks do love to book with us here at Railbookers is our 24-hour support. So we do have global offices all across the world. We have 2 offices here in the US, one in California, one just north of Boston here in Massachusetts. We've got an office up in Toronto, Canada. We've got one in London in the UK and another in Sydney, Australia. So no matter where you travel in the world, Railbookers will be available to help you with anything you need. If you have questions before the trip, maybe you get your Swiss tickets and they're in German and you're not quite sure how to read the German tickets, we can certainly help you with that. If you have any questions while you're on the trip as well, you suddenly realize that there's 2 clock towers in the St. Mark's Square in Venice and you're not sure where to meet your walking tour, no problem. You can give us a call at any time before your trip, during your trip, or after your trip, and somebody in one of our offices will be able to take that call and assist you with whatever you might need. And I do know that it is a little bit of a strange time to be planning a vacation out to Switzerland or out to Europe with the different travel restrictions, and we're not quite sure when they may be lifted and things like that. But with Railbookers, we're trying to make things as easy as possible for you folks. So we do have what's called our maximum flexibility offer. And what that means is if you book your vacation by the 30th of September, it does not matter when you travel. You could be traveling next year, 2 years from now. If you need to make any changes, so change to your dates, your itinerary, your destinations, or even if you need to cancel your trip, you can do that right up until 5 days before the trip is scheduled to depart, with no change fees and no cancellation penalties. So again, if you book by the 30th of September, it doesn't matter when you travel, could be next year, 2 years from now, you can make any changes you need to or cancel the trip right up until 5 days prior to your departure with no change fees and no cancellation penalties. So just something to keep in mind if you are thinking about planning a trip out to Switzerland or beyond. And I do like to start all of our Railbookers presentations here by showing you the system map, the network map of Europe. I think it's so inspiring because it shows you just how many places that you can take the train to all throughout Europe. Now, I know that some folks do find this a little bit intimidating, and the reason for that is if you look at the map, every one of those colored lines, the pink lines, the blue lines, the purple lines, each one of them represents a different high-speed rail line in Europe, and none of them talk to each other. So if you want to travel to multiple countries in one trip, you're going to be dealing with multiple languages, multiple currencies. Some of the trains are bookable before others. Some you can book 3 months in advance, 6 months in advance, only 3 weeks in advance. Now with Railbookers, we take the mystery out of that rail travel for you. We will do all of the heavy lifting, all of the hard work, and we'll arrange the best schedule for you, whether you want to take the most scenic route or whether you'd prefer to get there faster. Maybe you're a morning person and you want to get up and at 'em first thing, or maybe you'd rather sleep in. We can suggest the best routes and the best trains for you. Just a quick look at the network map of Switzerland in particular, because Switzerland is our main topic for today. I know Switzerland can also be very confusing to folks to plan the rail travel because there's a wide variety of different travel passes, point-to-point tickets, excursions on different mountain railways. The different scenic trains require you to book the seats, but some of the point-to-point trains don't. So no worries, again, with Railbookers, we make it very, very easy for you to book a holiday. Here with Railbookers, we'll take care of all those confusing rail details and make sure you get the very best value. And the reason that we are able to book up to 24 months in advance and do your entire vacation at one time is because we do have direct partnerships with the rail operators. So SBB directly in the middle of your screen there, that's the Swiss operator. We also have direct partnerships with Trenitalia in Italy. DB stands for Deutsche Bahn, that's Germany and Austria, Renfe in Spain, SNCF in France. So wherever you might be traveling throughout Europe or North America or beyond, we do have those direct partnerships with the rail operators, and that allows us to get you advanced tickets for the best possible price. And I do know that as you folks start to think about planning your next vacation, of course, top of mind for you is going to be the safety of yourself and your family. So I do just want to touch briefly on how the rail operators are maintaining a safe environment. So of course, this can all change, and we do keep very close contact with our partners, the rail operators, so we do have the up-to-date information for whenever it is you may be traveling. But just generally speaking, at this time they are requiring facial coverings, so masks or face coverings, both in the stations and on board the trains for passengers and staff. Many of the trains have temporarily stopped the sale of food and drink. That's typically in the cafe car, or some have changed it just to grab and go service. So there's no seating in the cafe cars now. You just grab it and bring it back to your seat to eat or drink. Now, of course, you are more than welcome to bring your own food and drink on board the train. So you can very easily do a little train picnic there. I highly do recommend that. They've got some great bakeries and things near the stations. You can pick up some sandwiches or fruit or things like that ahead of your train. Now, they are changing the seat configuration and the allocation of seating on board to allow for social distancing. And along with that, most of the trains are running at 50% or less capacity by design. They've deliberately reduced the capacity of the trains to allow for social distancing. So, what that means is that your party will be seated together, but then they will make sure to leave space between your party and the next party. So you don't need to worry about having, a stranger sit right next to you or anything like that. They are making sure to allow for social distancing on board. Of course, they have increased their cleaning and sanitation both on board the trains and in the stations. And it is all contactless ticket control right now. So you'll hold up your ticket and they'll scan it with their wand and you never have to pass anything back and forth. Now, I do just want to highlight with Railbookers, it's not just train travel that we do for you. It is your entire vacation. So we will make those reservations on board the train, including the seat reservations where necessary, to make sure that you get that aisle seat or that window seat that you like. But we also include your hotel stays. We include your sightseeing activities. We include those tremendous excursions up to the mountaintops. If you need one, we'll book the ferry for you or the overnight rail journey. If you are taking any overnight journeys, we'll book those cabins for you on board the train as well. So just to give you a sense, we'll do the entire vacation here for you: hotel, sightseeing, trains, seat reservations, and all those great excursions. Now, the one thing we don't do here at Railbookers is your flights. So if you do need a flight to get out to Switzerland, I do highly recommend looking into your local travel agent. So your local travel agent can book the entire Railbookers package for you. Those folks are fantastic. And again, here with Railbookers, we can book uh, 2 days from now or 2 years from now, just depending on when you would like to travel. And now for the main event. So, of course, our topic today is the 7 most scenic rail routes in Switzerland. So, I do just want to touch briefly on some of the reasons why train travel is the preferred method of travel throughout Switzerland. And one of the major reasons for that is the spectacular scenery. As you can see in all of the photos here, Switzerland is a tremendously beautiful country. They've got the snow capped mountain peaks of the Alps. They've got beautiful glacially carved lakes. In the spring and the summertime, everything is bright green with wildflowers. And in the wintertime, everything is covered in a beautiful layer of snow. So the scenery is one of the reasons, certainly, to travel by train throughout Switzerland. You can actually sit back and relax and enjoy that scenery instead of trying to keep your eyes on a very scary, windy mountain road if you were driving. Of course, you will see much more from a train than you ever would from an airplane where you're flying at 10,000 or more feet above everything, above the clouds. Um, and there is no need to worry about navigating with a car, getting lost in the mountains, or dealing with those windy mountain roads when you are taking the train. The train, of course, also gives you room to roam. You can get up and wander around and stretch your legs. And really, the trains throughout Switzerland, pretty much all of the trains we will look at today in our top 7, are designed to be scenic trains. So you can see in the right-hand picture there, those big, huge panoramic windows. These trains are designed for sightseeing to let you take incredible photos and really enjoy that spectacular view. Of course, there are also bucket list journeys. Several of these trains are quite famous throughout the world, and there are some great luxury opportunities as well if you do have a special occasion that you want to splurge for. And the other question that folks do ask me pretty frequently is when is the best time to travel in Switzerland? So really, this one is a toss-up. So Switzerland is a year-round destination. The most popular time to travel is probably the summertime. So pretty much from June through September would be the most popular time to travel. That's definitely going to be your warmest weather, but you'll still have snow-capped peaks in the distance because at the high elevations of the mountains, there is snow up there year round, but you'll get to swim in the lakes if you go to some of the lakeside towns in the summertime. It's much more comfortable weather, t-shirts and shorts kind of weather there. Of course, it is beautiful in the spring as well. You've got beautiful wildflowers in the spring, and you've got some lovely foliage in the fall time. The other main travel time to Switzerland is actually the winter time. So in the winter, Switzerland is a winter sports paradise. So I'm sure you've heard of St. Moritz and places like that, which of course are fantastic destinations for skiers or snowboarders. But whatever winter sports you might be interested in, they certainly have them throughout Switzerland. And it's a really beautiful time of year as well because everything is coated with this lovely blanket of white snow. So really, whenever you'd like, you can travel to Switzerland because it is a year-round destination. There's one excursion that we'll see which does only operate in the summertime because it's a boat cruise. And then the Glacier Express train, which we'll see in just a moment, does take a very short break in the month of November just for maintenance. But otherwise, you can travel there year-round for sure. Now, I'd like to start out with this Zermatt and St. Moritz trip here, because it highlights 3 of our top 7 most scenic routes in only 5 days. So this one is a shorter trip. This one is a great idea for you if you were going to be combining Switzerland up with maybe another destination. We'll see just how easy it is to take the train from Switzerland into Italy, into France, or Austria or Germany. Switzerland is located kind of right really in the center of Europe. So it is bordering many different countries like France, like Italy, like Austria. So it's very easy for you to travel from one country to the other. Now, actually, before I get started talking about our scenic rail lines, one of the other really fantastic things about Switzerland is that it has many different regions of Switzerland. And it's really, if you travel around Switzerland, it's like traveling on a tiny tour of Europe. So on the western part of Switzerland, it borders with France, and it's very French inspired, French cuisine. They speak French or a version of French. They have really kind of French inspired architecture. In the northern part of Switzerland, it borders with Germany and Austria, and it's definitely very Germanic. They speak Swiss German. All the signs will be in German first, and then maybe English, and then maybe French. You can get fondue and Wiener Schnitzel. You've got the classic ski chalet timber architecture that's very sort of German looking. And then actually in southern Switzerland, down in Lugano and that area, they border with northern Italy. So they actually speak a Swiss Italian language, and they've got some really great Italian cuisine. One of my favorite meals actually in Switzerland was the pizza I had in Lugano, which is, you don't think about Switzerland necessarily in Italian food, but it is right on the border with Italy. So if you travel throughout Switzerland, you're really getting kind of a mini tour of Europe along the way, which is really quite neat. Now, this trip here is Zermatt and St. Moritz. Both of these towns are fantastic. So, St. Moritz, you spend 2 nights. Zermatt, you spend 2 nights. Zermatt is that picture postcard perfect little alpine village nestled in the Alps. St. Moritz, of course, as I mentioned, is a skier's paradise. It is known as the ski resort kind of playground of the rich and famous, but it's beautiful because it's surrounded by so many incredible natural features. It's right in the mountains, but it's also perched right above a beautiful lake where you can go swimming in the summertime. And this Zermatt and St. Moritz trip features 3 of our top 7. We're going to look at 2 of them right now. The first one is probably the most famous train ride in Switzerland. It is the Glacier Express. Now, the Glacier Express is a panoramic journey. It goes all the way from Zermatt to St. Moritz. It's got stunning scenery throughout the entire journey. Now, the train itself is called the slowest express train in the world. Now, it's an express train because it's a direct route, but it does go at a moderate pace. It's not one of the crazy high speed 200 mile an hour trains. It goes at a really moderate pace because it's winding throughout the Swiss Alps, the mountain ranges, going around these tight curves and through these tunnels. And it's the reason for that is also because of sightseeing. So they want you to have the opportunity to take some fantastic pictures and see those beautiful mountain sights as you travel along. Now, this one here is the Landwasser Viaduct. This is one of the most famous points along the Glacier Express route. And I just like to throw this photo in because I think it illustrates as well, not only is Switzerland a beautiful destination in the summer, but it's a fantastic place to visit in the wintertime as well. Now the next photo here, this is the Oberall Pass. This is the highest point along the Glacier Express. It's over 2,000 meters, so over 6,000 feet above sea level up here. And throughout the entire route, you're going to see this beautiful kind of mountain scenery. In the summertime, certainly you'll see the green fields with the wildflowers. You go past sort of these idyllic Swiss villages and these steep rock faces, and all of a sudden you'll come around a bend and there's this huge valley laid out below you. At one point, there's a waterfall which kind of rushes right past the train. It's really a stunning ride on the Glacier Express. Now, the Glacier Express has three classes of service. They have standard seating, which is 2 chairs, and then an aisle, and then 2 more chairs. It's quite comfortable. They are all facing a table. And the reason for that is that one of the highlights of the Glacier Express is your meal time. Now, the first class experience on the Glacier Express is 2 seats and then an aisle and then 1 row of seats. Now, this is perfect because it's 2 seats facing each other across the table. So if you are traveling as a couple, this is a great way to sit, where you can sit kind of privately together, just facing each other across the beautiful table. And then the third class of service, if you do have it in the budget to splurge just a little bit, I highly recommend this one. This is called the Excellence class. Now, the Excellence class is a very luxurious way to travel. As you can see in the photo on the top right-hand side, it's 2 seats across each other from a table, and then a wide aisle in the middle, and then the 2 other seats. So very plush, comfortable seating in the Excellence class. You get the red carpet experience as you board. You have someone actually greet you there. You've got a personal attendant who's going to take care of you along the journey. And you have your own private bar car just for the folks in the Excellence class. So you've got that private bar. You can grab a cocktail, glass of champagne, whatever you like along the journey. And as I mentioned, one of the highlights, no matter what class you're in on the Glacier Express, is mealtime. Now, if you are in standard or first, you can choose whatever you like off the menu. It is pay out of pocket, so you can either choose to dine a la carte. Maybe you just want the lovely salad and a dessert, or maybe you would like to do the entire 5-course meal. So the 5-course meal is included for you if you do take the Excellence class. And it's very neat. They make a big show of your dining experience. The waiters come out and serve the meal with a flourish. They'll pour the glass of wine from way up high as the train sort of goes up these super high inclines. Some of the wine glasses actually deliberately have a tilted bottom so that you won't spill your drink as the train is climbing up into the mountains. So the Glacier Express from Zermatt to St. Moritz is a really lovely ride in general, and I highly recommend if you've got it in the budget to splurge, especially if you're traveling for a special occasion, maybe it's an anniversary or a birthday, to splurge on the Excellence class there. Now, our number two most scenic rail route in Switzerland is included in pretty much all of the vacations we'll see today, including that Zermatt and St. Moritz trip that we just saw. Now, this one here does go from St. Moritz, actually down all the way across the border into Tirano, Italy, and then you can ride it right back up into Switzerland, or you can continue your journey from Tirano on to Venice, to Milan, and really anywhere else you'd like to go in Italy. So very easy to combine Switzerland and Italy, especially on our number two most scenic train route, the Bernina Express. Now, the Bernina Express, again, it's similar scenery to the Glacier Express. The routes overlap just a tiny bit in one section. You go over 196 bridges. You cross that same Landwasser viaduct that we saw just a moment ago. And then you come down into Italy. And now this train is designed for sightseeing as well. You can see those big, beautiful curving windows that go all the way sort of up and almost around the top of the train. And again, you can get some tremendous photos there. And there are two classes of seating on the Bernina Express. So it's a standard class, which again is going to be the 2 seats by 2 seats configuration, or first class, which is the 2 seats by 1 seat configuration. Now, with the first class seating on the Bernina Express, you do have certainly a little bit more space. It's a little bit larger, more cushy seats. You also have more room for your luggage. Now, with all of these trains, you do bring your own luggage on board the train. And there are luggage racks at the front of each car for your larger bags. So you can store your larger bags in the luggage rack. And then there's plenty of space underneath your seats for a purse or backpack or any sort of smaller bag that you want to keep with you. You can just quite easily store those underneath your seats. Now, with the luggage, again, you have more room in the first class because there's less folks in that first class carriage to begin with. And one of the great features about the Bernina Express is that, as I mentioned, it is designed as a sightseeing train. So they actually do have little earbuds for you that you can plug in right there at your seat, and you can listen in, and they'll give you some great information throughout your trip about where you're traveling through, the history of the region, the different beautiful mountains and lakes that you see. And my very favorite part of the trip is right actually at the end as you're coming into Italy. You go around what's called the famous Bruzio spiral. So the Bruzio spiral viaduct you can see in the photo here, because you're coming out of the mountains so quickly into the more flat landscape in Italy, in order to do it, they have an almost 360-degree turn that the train curves around. So if you head to the back of the train as you're approaching the Bruzio spiral, you can get some fantastic photos of your entire train curving around the front. So you can just see the train in this photo starting to curve around there. Just picture in just a moment I had even better photos there. So just ask one of the folks on board the train when it's coming up, and then head out to the back of the train and you can see some really lovely shots of your Bernina Express train as you curve around that Bruzio spiral. Now, our next trip here, if you have a little bit more time to spend in Switzerland, is very popular. It's our Switzerland's Lakes and Mountains. Now, this one is a 7-day itinerary, and it does start at just $16.49 per person, so quite reasonable for 7 days. Now, this trip does include the Glacier Express and the Bernina Express that we just saw. It also includes our number 3 most scenic train ride, which is the GoldenPass route, which we'll see in just a minute, as well as the day trip up to the Jungfraubahn, which is our number 4 or 5. It's 5, I think. It's our number 5 most scenic route. We'll see that one coming up in just a minute. So this one does include 4 of the top 7 most scenic routes on the trip. And it's really lovely because it's a journey all across Switzerland. So you can kind of see on the map there that you are traveling from Geneva all the way across Switzerland, and then ultimately down to Tirano in Italy, where you could continue very easily on to Venice, Florence, Rome, Cinque Terre, Sorrento, wherever you might like to go. Or you can come right back up into Switzerland and we can get you back to Geneva or maybe out to Zurich, depending on where your travel agent or yourself arranges your flights. So what's really fantastic about this one is that you do get a couple of those great different regions. So you'll stay in Geneva and Montreux, sort of in that French-speaking part of Switzerland, and then you come along to Chur, which is this really cute, tiny little town. It's the oldest village in Switzerland, very sort of German-inspired there. And as I mentioned, you do get the 4 excursions, the Glacier Express and the Bernina Express, which we just saw, as well as the GoldenPass and the Jungfraubahn. So just quickly to touch on some of the beautiful cities that you stay in along this route. So Geneva, of course, is very French influenced. It's right on Lake Geneva, as you can see in the photo there. It's a beautiful lakeside location, and then you've got the mountains as a backdrop. So the language, they do speak French in Geneva, and you've got some really lovely French-inspired cuisine. You also stay on this trip in Interlaken. That's your top left-hand photo there. Interlaken is a really lovely traditional kind of Swiss town with the timbered houses. The name actually means between the lakes, Interlaken. And it is located in this narrow valley. You can kind of see in the photo there, right in between two beautiful lakes, Lake Thun and Lake Brienz. So it's a really lovely lakeside town, lovely traditional kind of Swiss architecture there. St. Moritz, of course, we talked briefly about. It's the famous ski resort. One of the things that I love about St. Moritz is that there's these beautiful towering mountains all around the city. So you can go on several different excursions to these beautiful mountaintops, but it's also poised right over the beautiful lake that you see there. So you can actually visit the top of a snowy mountain in the morning and go swimming in the lake in the afternoon. It's a really lovely, beautiful place to get out and really kind of experience some of the gorgeous nature that's there in Switzerland. And then Zermatt, of course, our picture postcard perfect alpine village nestled right at the foot of the Matterhorn Mountains. You've got the traditional ski chalets with that classic gingerbread architecture there in Zermatt. I could talk about it for a very long time. It's one of my favorite places to have visited, not just in Switzerland, but anywhere in the world. Another great feature about Zermatt is there are no cars in Zermatt, so the only way to reach the town pretty much is by train or by helicopter. So we have you take the train here with Railbookers, as you can imagine. And then you can just wander around the town sort of at your leisure because there are no cars to worry about, which is quite lovely. Now, our number 3 most scenic train ride here in Switzerland is the GoldenPass Line. Now, this does connect you from the vineyards through to the Alps, basically, into central Switzerland. So you start out on the western side of Switzerland, and it really travels you right into the middle of the country. And this is really some lovely lakeside scenery. So the first two we looked at, the Glacier and the Bernina, they're known for their, towering Swiss Alps as they go through the mountains. The GoldenPass Line is really lovely, though. It goes through a lot of these beautiful green, vibrant valleys along these beautiful lakes. Goes from Lake Geneva, essentially, all the way to Lake Lucerne. Multiple different lakes that you pass by along the way. And one of the really neat things about the GoldenPass Line is that you kind of have your choice of train. There's really two different kind of trains that operate on this line. The top two pictures are the panoramic trains. So these are a lot more modern, very plush, comfortable seating, beautiful panoramic windows that go, over the top there. Or if you are looking for more of a sort of historical train experience, you can choose from the classic carriages, which are those two bottom photos there. So you've got the much more sort of classic turn of the century kind of train ride experience. You can see it's very beautiful, luxurious kind of appointment in there. Not quite as cushy maybe as the modern seats, but you've got that beautiful historic flair to it on the bottom. So it's really up to you. Just let us know or let your local travel agent know when you give us a call, and we can arrange whichever sort of type of train you'd like to travel on through this beautiful GoldenPass route. Now, if you have a little more time to spend in Switzerland, we can tick off a few more boxes here for you. So this Scenic Switzerland trip from Zurich is a 9-day trip altogether. It starts at 2,249 per person. So again, really very affordable for 9 days, going all throughout Switzerland. That's, as I mentioned before, including your trains, your seat reservations. It includes your hotels in each stop. It also includes the day trips, so the different sightseeing excursions along the way. Now, this one here includes the Glacier, the Bernina, and the GoldenPass that we've just seen. And it also includes the day trip on the Gornergrat Cog Railway and Mount Pilatus and the Jungfraujoch. So you've got 6 out of the 7. You've almost checked off every box on this one here with the Scenic Switzerland from Zurich 9-day itinerary. And as you can see in the photo there, or the map there, it basically makes a loop of the country. So you start and end in Zurich. So you'll travel from Zurich down to St. Moritz for 2 nights. across on the Glacier Express to Zermatt. You spend one night in Montreux and then take the Golden Pass. You come up and spend 3 nights in Lucerne, and from there you do the day trips out to Jungfrau and Mount Pilatus that we'll see in just a moment. So you really get to spend time in, again, all of these sort of beautiful areas of Switzerland. You're making kind of one large circle around the country there and doing some really lovely train rides and different excursions along the way. So just some other great destinations that are in this trip and the next one that we'll see in just a moment here. So Lucerne, Lugano, and Lausanne are all beautiful lakeside towns. Lucerne and Lausanne are more French speaking. So Lausanne is French speaking. It's really got a lot of French influence there in Lausanne. Now Lugano is actually right on the sort of southern part of Switzerland. You may have remember me mentioning that it's Italian influence. So they speak Italian. They've got some great Italian cuisine. Their main square is the Piazza. So Lugano is really sort of neat Italian-inspired town. Lucerne on the top left there, it's known for its medieval architecture in their Altstadt, which is their old town. So this is a little bit more of a German influence here in Lucerne. They're famous, of course, for their Kapellbrücke that you can see in the photo. The Kapellbrücke is the chapel bridge. It dates all the way back to 1333. It's the oldest wooden bridge in Europe. They also have part of their original 14th century town wall there in Lucerne. And of course, they've got the beautiful kind of medieval architecture as you see. So they're really fascinating historic city to visit. And again, right on the lakeside. So you can get out on the water there. And then Zurich is the largest city in Switzerland. It's a great destination, very easy to fly in and fly out of. And they've, again, got that kind of German influence there in Zurich. All the signs will be in German. You can get incredible fondue there in Zurich. There's a great place that's sort of right around the corner from the train station to get great cheese fondue there in Zurich. And now coming to our number 4 and number 5 most scenic rail routes in Switzerland. Both of these rail routes here, the Gornergrat and the Jungfraujoch, are mountain excursion railways. So the 3 previous ones we've seen, Glacier Express, Bernina Express, and GoldenPass, all 3 of those routes will start in one city and bring you to a different city, right? So the Glacier Express goes from Zermatt to St. Moritz. The Bernina goes from St. Moritz down to Tirano. The GoldenPass goes from Lake Geneva across to Lake Lucerne. So you'll start in one city town and end in a different one. These Gornergrat and Jungfraujoch, we call them mountain excursions or mountain railways. They really will go from one place up to the top of a mountain and then back down to that same city. So the Gornergrat on the left-hand side is from Zermatt. So it takes you all the way to the top of the Gornergrat mountain. You get incredible views of the Matterhorn, and then you come back down to Zermatt, for example. Now, as I mentioned, the Gornergrat Railway, what makes it the most famous is the views of the Matterhorn. The Matterhorn, you may think of Disneyland when you hear the word Matterhorn. I can tell you the real one is considerably more impressive. Beautiful sights. You get tremendous scenery all the way along this Gornergrat Railway. It's about a 30-minute journey, and it goes every 20 minutes from Zermatt, which is great. It's got 4 or 5 different places that you can actually stop and get off the train along your way up the mountain. So if you are the kind of folks who like to do a little hiking or just strolling around, there's a lot of great stops where you can get off, take a stroll, take some beautiful pictures. And then when you get to the top of the Gornergrat Mountain, of course, you get that incredible view of the Matterhorn, as well as all of the different beautiful surrounding mountain peaks. There's also a great restaurant up at the top there if you want to grab a hot chocolate, for example. Now, I do recommend, even in the summertime on the Gornergrat and the Jungfraujoch that we'll see in a moment, you do want to bring a jacket. It doesn't have to be a full winter parka or anything, but you do want to bring a jacket, maybe a hat and a pair of gloves, or a hat and a scarf, because it will be a little bit chilly at the top of the mountain, even in summer. We were there in August last year, and you can see my friend Sarah in the top left photo with her hat and jacket on, because you are at such a high elevation that there is snow at the top of the mountains, even in the summertime. So I do recommend making sure to pack, a hat and a pair of gloves, or a hat and a scarf, along with a lighter jacket for this excursion. Now, the number 5 most scenic rail route in Switzerland is the Jungfraujoch excursion. The Jungfrau Bahn is famous because it is the highest, well, the train takes you to the highest railway station in Europe. It is called the Top of Europe. It's over 13,640 feet high at its peak. Now, the Jungfrau is made up of a couple different trains to get you all the way to the top of that mountain. Um, and it actually includes a cable car journey as well, which is pretty neat. Now, once you are at the top there is a lot to see and do. There is an ice castle. There is the Lindt Swiss Chocolate Heaven, which is the highest chocolate shop in all of Europe. Um, there's a beautiful restaurant at the top there. Again, you can get some fondue there at the top of the Jungfraujoch mountain. And then after you visit all of those great fun things to do at the top there, oh, I should probably also mention at the top of the Jungfrau Mountain, you can see about 12 different mountain peaks. You can just see this huge, beautiful panoramic view of all of these mountain peaks from the top there. And after you experience all of that beautiful scenery, we actually bring you back down the other side of the mountain. So we bring you up one side of the mountain and then back down a different side, and that's really a great way for you to see two different tremendous views. On the way back down, we actually take you past the stunning Lauterbrunnen Falls waterfall on your way back to Interlaken. So those are the number 4 and number 5 most scenic routes. Final package here for Switzerland is our Grand Tour of Switzerland. This one is a 15-day trip starting at $39.49 per person. Now, the map is a little crazy, I do agree, but what you need to understand on this one is that you will see all 7 of the top most scenic rail lines. So 7 of our most scenic rail routes all included in this one itinerary. And you are, again, taking a beautiful circle all the way around Switzerland, and you will stop in all 3 different regions. So you'll be in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, there in Lausanne and Montreux. You'll be in the German-speaking part of Switzerland, up in Zurich and Chur and Interlaken. And then you'll come down to the Italian sort of influenced region in Lugano. You spend 2 nights in Lugano, and you take our number 6 most scenic rail route, which is the Gotthard Panorama Express. Now, this is the one that is a little bit seasonal because it does include this beautiful boat ride at the beginning. So this is a 2-part excursion. It's the beautiful boat ride and then the panorama train on the Gotthard Express. So this one here, the boat ride, has you glide over Lake Lucerne, past these really beautiful picturesque landscapes, before you meet up with the panorama train, which travels along the historic Gotthard route through the Gotthard Tunnel, which actually opened in 1882. So it's a very beautiful historic train route there. Sort of really lovely one-of-a-kind scenery along both of these journeys. And we do always recommend for you folks on the Gotthard Panorama Express in particular to upgrade to the first class on this one. So the first class while you're on the ship will get you access to the restaurant on the paddle steamer ship there. And it will get you access to the panoramic windows in the train car. So the standard class does have beautiful scenery, but the panoramic windows that this train is known for, those are reserved for the first class folks. So this one does run basically from April through October. Because of the boat, it doesn't run in the winter time. So if you did want to do this Gotthard Panorama Express journey, I do recommend traveling to Switzerland between April and October. Otherwise, you can certainly travel year-round on most of the other routes that we've looked at. And again, the Glacier Express does take a break in November just for some maintenance. But now this grand tour of Switzerland, not only does it include everything we've seen so far and the Gotthard Panorama Express, it also includes the day excursions out to Mount Pilatus and Mount Titlis. So really, this is kind of 2 different journeys, which we've dubbed both of them number 7. It's too tough to choose in between them. Really lovely mountaintop excursion journeys again here. Uh, Now, the one on the right, you can see it's a 360-degree viewing cable car, which is really neat. It actually spins as you go up the mountain, and then you have access to the highest and maybe most terrifying cable bridge in Europe. That's that bottom right-hand photo there with the Swiss flag in it. That's actually a little cable bridge that you walk across to get to that lookout point. Now, from the top there, you can see 80% of Switzerland, because you are so high up on the mountain there. Now, the one on the left-hand side, that one does include a boat ride in the summertime, or it's a train ride in the wintertime, so you can do this one year-round. Again, this is a journey where I included the little map just to try and give you an idea. We have you go up one side of the mountain and then come back down the other side of the mountain, so you get kind of that round trip scenery. You're not passing by the same thing twice. It is made up of multiple journeys, so it is a train followed by a couple cable cars and then a train back down the mountain and a boat ride in between in the summertime for you folks. So I do just want to touch on the fact that all of our trips are customizable. So you can certainly add on any destination. So if you liked, for example, the Zermatt and St Moritz trip, but you want to travel into Italy afterwards, no problem. We can easily add on any other country, any other destination within Switzerland as well. We can make anything into a round trip. So if your trip started in Geneva and ended in Zurich, we can easily bring you back to Geneva at the end if your travel agent gets you a great round trip flight, for example. We can do any of these trips in reverse. So maybe you're getting off a river cruise or something in one destination and you want to start there, no problem. We can do that for you as well. We can also upgrade to first class all along the routes for you, or the excellence class, of course, on the Glacier Express. And we can customize the sightseeing as well. Now, as I've said, all of the hotels are included in these trips here for you, and we do have a wide variety of hotels for you to choose from. So we have 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star options, just depending on what you like when you travel. So if you're the kind of person that just wants someplace that's clean and comfortable and a good location to rest your head while you're out exploring mountaintops, no problem. Or if you'd like something a little bit more luxurious, maybe you want to go to the spa, have a fine dining experience, or stay at one of these really unique properties at the top of the mountain, we can certainly set that up for you as well. Now, it is very easy, as I mentioned before, to travel from Switzerland into France, Italy, Austria, and Germany. So I just want to show you a couple different vacations which do highlight that, just so you get a real brief sense of how easy it is to combine up these multiple countries. So the first one here, Venice and the Bernina Express, that's a 6-day trip. Starts out in Zurich. You take the beautiful Bernina Express going around the Bruzia spiral, coming down into Tirano, where you connect through to Milan for 1 night and then onwards to Venice for 3 nights. Very easy to do. Now, while you're in Venice, we do include a tour of the Golden Basilica and Doge's Palace. And of course, we include a gondola ride for you there in Venice as well. This next one here is the Arlberg Pass. This is one of my favorites. It's Zurich, Salzburg, and Vienna. Now you travel through Switzerland into Austria via the Arlberg Pass, which is this beautiful, famous mountain passway. You spend 1 night in Salzburg and 2 nights in Vienna. And again, this is all customizable, so you can easily add extra nights in Salzburg if you want to have time to see the Sound of Music tour or something like that. And then you continue on to Imperial Vienna. And we include an attractions pass in Vienna, which will get you admission to both of the beautiful palaces that they have there in Vienna. Of course, it was the home of the Habsburg dynasty. Of course, they're known for their opera house as well. This will get you admission into the opera house, as well as many of the different museums and attractions throughout the city. Our next one here is London to Rome European Highlights, just showing how you can connect London to Paris, on down to Switzerland. We have you stay in Lucerne, right on beautiful Lake Lucerne. Then you take the Bernina Express down into Milan, travel on to Venice, Florence, and Rome. Now, while you're in Italy, of course, we have you see the Sistine Chapel and the Vatican there in Rome, as well as the Colosseum. There in Venice, again, you get the gondola tour. While you're in Paris, you have admission to the Eiffel Tower, as well as a Seine River cruise. So we really have some great different attractions in each one of these cities included for you as well. And again, they are all customizable. So if you are afraid of heights, you do not need to go to the top of the Eiffel Tower, for example. We've got loads of other different tours and attractions. Maybe you want to go to the Louvre Museum or Versailles instead. We can easily set that up for you. So it really is whatever you'd like to do to make it your perfect vacation. And our last sort of Switzerland combo trip here is the European Wonderland trip. This one is 15 days, uh, actually begins in Milan, and then you take the Bernina Express up to St. Moritz. You do 2 nights in St. Moritz so you can get out and see some of those incredible mountains. On to Zurich. You go through the Arlberg Pass, which we just talked about, onto Salzburg, onto Vienna, and really you see the beautiful imperial cities of Vienna and Prague, and then finish up in Munich, which is a great town in southern Germany there, known for its beer halls and beer steins there in Munich. You really traditional Germanic kind of architecture there, and we do have some great sightseeing along the way for you in each one of these destinations as well. So just to give you a little bit of an idea how easy it is to combine Switzerland with the rest of Europe there. Now, I do want to always try and keep these presentations fun and interesting for you folks. So I do just have a quick question for you before we get to all of the questions that you've asked me. So just a quick question for you. What destinations are you thinking about for your next vacation? We always want to make these presentations fun and interesting for you. So if you just want to type away in the questions box what vacation destinations you are thinking of for your next vacation, we can make sure to include those in some great upcoming presentations. And just a quick reminder of our maximum flexibility offer. So if you do book by the 30th of September, we will allow you to change your dates, change your itinerary, or cancel right up until 5 days prior to your departure, no matter when you travel. And just a quick little fact from us here at Railbookers, we like to say that we know because we go. So every year with Railbookers, our entire staff has the opportunity to take one of our most popular excursions. So going on one of our most popular trips out to Italy, out to Switzerland. So really we can make the best recommendations possible for you. So we'll stay in the same hotels where you would stay. We'll take the same trains that you would take. We'll do the same sightseeing activities that you would do. And that way, when you call us or call your local travel agent who works with us, we can make those recommendations on the most scenic train route or the fastest train route, or give you those little tips and tricks, like make sure you bring your scarf and your jacket up to the top of the Gornergrat or the Jungfraujoch. So just to give you a quick info, we are the rail experts because we actually do get out and really experience these trains and these beautiful destinations. And just a little bit of feedback from some of our fantastic customers. Thank you to Jennifer, Elizabeth, and Dan. One of the feedback that we get from customers most often is that we make things easy for them. We make things simple and easy. We take care of all the details and just make sure that you have a fantastic vacation. And of course, I only had time to talk about just a very few of the trips that we do to Switzerland. We have so many more trips to Switzerland and all throughout Europe. So please do visit us at railbookers.com. If you have any questions on changing trains or more about what it's like on board, you can see that on our trip planning tab. So do visit us at railbookers.com. Give us a call or call your local travel agent. Those guys are fantastic. Just a few of our awards. We were on Wheel of Fortune not too long back, which my family thought was a lot of fun. We've been featured in Forbes and Lonely Planet, USA Today, Travel and Leisure as well. And if you did have fun today, we do have some great upcoming presentations. So our Amtrak Vacations brand, if you are looking to travel here in the US, we've got a great presentation on the coast-to-coast train travel. Next week, we've got Alaska by land. So how to do the beautiful Alaska Railroad and see Denali National Park. And then the top 7 destinations you can travel to this year with Amtrak Vacations. So if you're looking for, before your big trip out to Switzerland next year or something like that, you want to do a long weekend here in the US, we've got a great presentation there for you. Now, again, please do feel free to ask questions. You should see that questions box over on your right-hand side. We've got like almost 5 minutes, I think, for questions today, which is great. And also don't forget to download your handouts as well. So perfect. So I do see we've got a lot of questions from you folks. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Let's see. Great question here from Judith. Judith would like to know, does it cost more to customize a vacation? So great question, Judith. So it absolutely does not cost any more to customize a vacation. We can take one of our pre-done ones, like the Switzerland's Lakes and Mountains. We can add on to it if you like. We can change it around, or you could certainly build something completely from scratch. It's really entirely up to you what you'd like to do. We can really accommodate wherever you'd like to go by train and whatever sightseeing or types of hotels you'd like to stay in. Great question here from Mark. Mark would like to know how easy is it to get from the train stations to the hotels, and do you include transfers? Really good question, Mark. So we do pride ourselves at Railbookers on having all of our hotels to be very centrally located. So most of the time they are located quite close to the train stations. So for example, when I was in Switzerland last year, very easy to walk from our train station in Zurich to our hotel in Zurich was maybe certainly less than 10-minute walk. Other places like Zermatt, you can actually, there's a phone at the station and you can call and your hotel will come pick you up in like their little electric sort of it's almost like a golf cart kind of, because they don't have cars in Zermatt. As well in St Moritz, you can get picked up at the station by your hotel. You just have to call them when you arrive. And then in some of the larger cities, like if you're, let's say we were connecting and doing the London to Paris to Switzerland route, like London and Paris, we can easily include a private transfer for you if you'd like one. Otherwise, you can just grab a taxi or a ride share like Uber or Lyft there at the station. So they've got it pretty easily marked where to go for rideshare, and then they've got taxi stands at the bigger stations as well. So it really just depends on where you are, but certainly just ask us or your local travel agent about it. If you need one, we can get you a private transfer. In a lot of other cases, it's very walkable, or the hotels may offer a pickup for you. Great question here from Rick, who'd like to know about accessibility. So customers traveling with wheelchairs and whether there is station staff that can assist. So great question. So all of these trips here we can make accessible for you. You just need to let us know sort of your requirements, but we can certainly get you accessible rooms in the hotels. We can get you accessible seating on board the trains. Most of the major larger stations will have staff that can assist you in the station with baggage and things like that, certainly like Zurich and Geneva. Some of the other stations where it's a little bit smaller, like Zermatt's pretty small, it would just depend, but let us know what you need and we can certainly work with you to make those arrangements. But certainly all the hotels will be accessible. We can certainly get you accessible seating on all of the trains. Some of the mountain excursions, we'll just have to check on that for you because in some of them, you do take the cable car. Certainly you could wheel into it. Wouldn't be much of an issue, but some of the hiking bits of it might be out. So certainly do just let us know and we can let you know how we can best accommodate you. But we can absolutely accommodate folks with mobility concerns and accessibility concerns, no problem. All right, time for just one more question. Question here from Tina. Do you accommodate solo travelers? Perfect question. So yes, of course, we definitely do accommodate solo travelers. So all the pricing that I was giving you folks was based on 2 people sharing a room, but very easily we can have a solo traveler or a party of 3 or 4 or 5, however you'd like to travel. Just give us a call or call your local travel agent. And we can get you the different pricing just based on which trip you're interested in, but quite comfortable and safe to travel around by yourself in Europe. I've done it multiple times, so no worries there. All right, that is all we have time for on questions. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you spending the time with me. Just to let you folks know, whenever you are ready, we are ready to help you here at Railbookers. We are all working from home right now. I'm in my laundry room as we speak. We've got a pile of towels to fold and we're done here. But absolutely, whenever you're ready, we're standing by and more than ready to help with anything that you might need. And I just want to thank you again for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your morning, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.